Now with the basic CRUD operations covered, let's dive a bit deeper. And let's dive a bit deeper into update. First of all, let's have a quick look at all our data in the collection again. We got these two flights. And now let's say I want to change the first flight. I want to change it by adding an extra field, which simply holds the information whether the flight is delayed or not. Now we can do that by accessing flight data here, and then using update1. And I can filter by ID. We can copy that object ID, and it's important that you copy the whole object. We could filter for underscore ID with this object ID. Now this will select this first flight, and now you learned we can pass a document with $set where we can tell what to change. For example, can set delayed to true. If I now hit enter, this was accepted. And if I output all the flights again, we see delayed was added. So this is something we can do and something we already saw. Now, there also is another command we could use. And that is not update1, but just update. So let me quickly remove the 1 here and now just use update. If I do that, you see it generally worked, but nothing was modified. And the reason for that simply is that we already had a value of true here. So if I change delay to false, you see it did modify one element. And if I now output all the data, we see delayed is false. Now update works a bit like updateMany. UpdateMany was used to update all matching elements, and update would also update all matching elements. So what's the difference between update and updateMany then? The difference can be seen if I actually remove $set here. So if my second argument is now just delayed false in a document. Remember, with update1, this gave us an error. And the same, by the way, is true if you would use updateMany here. You also get an error here. Now with update, so just update without many or one, this actually works. You see it was accepted and one document is changed. Now how would you imagine that our flight looks like right now? Well, let's access the flight data and find it all and output it. And what we see is we got two documents, but the first one is very small because it now only has delayed false and the ID. The ID still is the old ID, by the way. This was not changed. It still is the ID. It did not change that, but it overrode all the other key value pairs. And that is the thing about update. Update does accept this syntax with just an object, and it will then take this object and basically replace the existing object with this new object, with this new document. It will only keep the ID. It will only patch the existing object instead of replace it, like update1 and many do it, if you use the $set way. If you use it like this, you overwrite it. Maybe this is what you want, but it is something to be aware of. And in general, I recommend using update1 and many to avoid this issue. If you want to replace something, you should use a different method. On flight data, you should then use replace1. And there you again place your filter. So looking for ID equal to our object ID. And then you add the element you want to replace it with as a second value. So here I'll take my flight data from the attached JSON document, which was attached to earlier lectures, copy that, delete the closing parentheses, add my document and now close it. And if I now hit enter, you see one element was modified. And if we now output all the elements again, you see the ID still is the same as before. It's the ID we looked for in the filter, but the rest was replaced. And this is simply a more explicit and therefore safer way of replacing the data if you really want to replace it. Otherwise, if you just want to change it, partially change it maybe, use update1 or updateMany. Be aware of the behavior of update.